The Legal Arizona Workers Act, LAWA, enacted in 2008, was a pioneering state law designed to curb the hiring of unauthorized immigrants by requiring all Arizona employers to use E-Verify, the federal electronic system for confirming worker eligibility. Despite its strong penalties, including the suspension or revocation of business licenses for repeated violations, the law has been largely ignored by many employers due to a combination of economic factors, systemic legal limitations, and, most significantly, a profound lack of enforcement. Analysis and reasons for non-compliance. 1. Systemic lack of enforcement. The single most critical reason for non-compliance is the near invisibility of enforcement. LAWA empowers the state attorney general and county attorneys to investigate and prosecute violations, yet enforcement efforts have been sporadic and minimal. Reliance on citizen complaints. The law's mechanisms largely depend on complaints filed by citizens, which are often generalized, lack concrete evidence, and are difficult for local officials to effectively pursue. Unlike federal agencies that conduct routine audits, state authorities do not have dedicated resources or a proactive strategy for workplace inspections. Low punishment rate. In the years since the law's inception, only a handful of businesses have faced license and suspension or revocation. This low-risk environment tells employers that the chances of being caught and penalized are negligible, effectively eliminating the primary deterrent. Federal versus state jurisdiction. Immigration and employment eligibility are complex federal issues. While the Supreme Court upheld LAWA's E-Verify mandate, local and state prosecutors face hurdles in pursuing cases that touch on federal immigration authority, leading to hesitation and complexity in litigation. 2. Economic incentives and labor demand. Employers, particularly in industries like agriculture, construction, hospitality, and landscaping, face perennial labor shortages for physically demanding or low-wage jobs. Cost and availability. Unauthorized workers often represent a reliable, flexible, and lower-cost labor pool. For many small and medium-sized businesses, the economic incentive to hire these workers to meet demand outweighs the perceived yet distant risk of legal repercussions. E-Verify gaps. E-Verify is not foolproof. It only confirms the validity of the documents presented by the new hire. Employers can claim a good faith effort if the system provides an initial confirmation, which often allows them to overlook obviously fraudulent documents presented by those determined to work. 3. Political shift and public focus. Since LAWA was passed alongside other controversial immigration measures like SB 1070, the political and public appetite for aggressive enforcement has waned. The initial big splash of the law faded as subsequent legal battles and economic concerns, like the Great Recession, shifted priorities. The intense public scrutiny that once accompanied such laws has diminished, reducing the pressure on elected officials to dedicate significant funding and personnel to workplace raids and investigations. Consequences of ignorance. The widespread employer noncompliance has had several far-reaching consequences, undermining the law's original intent. Failed policy goal. The primary goal of LAWA, to deter unauthorized immigration by turning off the jobs magnet, has largely failed in practice as the demand for and supply of unauthorized labor continues. Uneven playing field. Law-abiding businesses that invest in strict compliance and sometimes struggle to fill jobs are at a competitive disadvantage against unscrupulous companies that knowingly hire cheaper, unauthorized labor. This creates an unfair marketplace that rewards non-compliance. Worker exploitation. The continued presence of an unauthorized workforce, now coupled with a state law that makes their employment illegal, increases the vulnerability of these workers to wage theft and exploitation. Because they fear deportation, unauthorized workers are less likely to report workplace abuses or illegal employer practices. Prediction and solutions. Prediction. Without a significant, dedicated, and sustained commitment of state funding for proactive enforcement, including routine, unannounced audits, and a specialized investigative unit, employer compliance will likely remain low. The current state-level law is fundamentally dependent on an aggressive enforcement effort that Arizona has historically proven unwilling or unable to sustain. Solutions for improved compliance. Effective solutions require a multi-pronged approach that addresses both the demand and the enforcement gaps. 1. Robust and proactive enforcement. The state must move beyond citizen complaints and fund dedicated, proactive enforcement teams. County attorneys and the Attorney General need increased budgets to conduct routine, random E-Verify and I-9 audits, ensuring that the risk of noncompliance is tangible and immediate. 2. Increased federal cooperation. Encouraging greater data sharing and cooperation between state labor authorities and federal agencies like the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, can streamline investigations and increase the effectiveness of E-Verify. 3. Addressing labor needs. Long-term compliance hinges on addressing the root cause, the need for labor. State officials could advocate for federal immigration reform that creates more viable and accessible guest worker programs that specifically cater to Arizona's high-demand industries, e.g. agriculture, thereby reducing the reliance on unauthorized labor. 4. Higher and mandatory penalties. While the current law allows for license revocation, setting mandatory minimum fines and temporary closures for initial offenses would increase the financial deterrent for employers. In summary, the failure of LAWA is less a critique of the law's existence and more a lesson in the necessity of political will and dedicated resources. A law without enforcement is merely a suggestion, and for most Arizona employers facing economic pressures, the law's weak enforcement track record makes it an easily ignored suggestion.